Hi, everybody. We're here with the Quiet Mind Show. Myself, Dr. Tom Diamond. I'm here to help folks find natural solutions to anxiety, stress, and sleep issues. And today, we're going to talk with Sita Huber, a nutritionist who I admire very much and who has lots to give us. Welcome, Sita. Thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much, Tom, for having me today. This is so awesome to be able to talk to someone in psychology about food, and the whole area of nutritional psychiatry is getting a little bit of attention now. So I think that it's really exciting for both of our professions. I guess for me, it was probably 20 years ago. I sort of clued into food maybe having an impact on me. I was living in Vancouver. I was running, and I was kind of in my mid-20s and trying to be healthy. And I still had really bad acne. So that sort of teenage skin flare-up just wasn't going away. And I was buying all this stuff and putting different things on my face. But I didn't want to have to wear makeup, and I knew that makeup made it worse. And I used to be really jealous of people who had really clear skin.
Yeah, right.
I used to just look at them and be like, oh, I can't believe you just have that. So someone mentioned seeing a naturopath. And I didn't really know that a naturopath was going to give me dietary advice, but I saw a naturopath, and he said to me, did you know that what's going on in your gut can affect your skin? And I was like, what? You're kidding me.
Yeah,
It was just
it
was mind blowing at that time. So, and his advice at that time was to cut out dairy. And I believe that was fairly new research at that time, was the link between dairy and skin. It's a little bit more sort of well recognized now, but I cut out dairy and my skin cleared up.
Wow. So that must have blown your mind, like you said.
Yeah.
And 20 years ago, we didn't know all this stuff nearly as clearly as we do now. I mean, it's all over the place what dairy does now, but you were kind of a pioneer stepping into a new world back then. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a bit different, right? So you go and you cut out dairy, and people think that you're a bit crazy, or they don't, other people don't understand, so you sort of deal with that. And then, of course, there weren't that many dairy alternatives. So I went dairy-free for about 6 years, and then I sort of realized that maybe some of the foods that I had replaced dairy with were junk foods. And so processed foods, to make something that's a dairy product without dairy, you kind of have to make something up, right?
Yeah.
It's not a direct swap, but you're sort of making a food-like substance. So that was sort of the next phase, was sort of going a little bit deeper, that, okay, so this first person had given me a bit of advice, but oh my God, there was more. And that was, that sort of went on for years. And that's when I decided to study nutrition. It was the time I was moving to Australia. I signed up for a course online, didn't really know what I was signing up for. Just sort of was like, oh, nutritional medicine, that sounds cool. And
so really big milestone in your life. You're about to go to a whole new country, whole new world really down there. Yeah. And this was a sort of an opportunity to take everything you learned and take a next step.
I'd had my daughter when I was really young. So when I was 17, and I went into hairdressing because I just wanted to work and support her and break some family patterns. So it was when I was younger, I was doing things out of survival because I had to, and all of a sudden I had this opportunity to sort of look at things, look at what I really wanted. So that was also part of it, was just really stepping into myself.
That's super, super interesting that it was such a, not just a career step, but a real step away from just survival mind into, vision mind, who you want to be, what you want your life to be. And with the responsibility of parent on top of all that.
Yeah. And you know how it is, we often take the step without knowing what it's all gonna give us and teach us, right? Yeah. So I had that instinct and that pull, and I followed it. But what ended up happening is when I got to Australia, within a month, I sort of had this weird low back thing, and my low back swelled up. And Yeah, and I had MRIs and CT scans and years of seeing different practitioners, different different modalities, trying to sort out what ended up being 7 years of sort of chronic back pain. There's all these aspects to it, right? There's the nutritional part. And so for a while I was like, if I take all the fish oils, if I eat well, and if I can just figure out the diet, maybe that will help. If I can just figure out my energy and, I tried meditation at that time and had a really hard time with it. I did acupuncture, I did rolfing.
You took this massive path through all these healing modalities to tackle, what your body was kind of screaming at you. I need change. I need healing. And you really took that message and went around the world and then took in all sorts of different things. But I'm just imagining putting myself in your shoes. It must have been scary to have your body be have this huge reaction, your back swelling up. I mean, if I was in Australia, I would have assumed that some very poisonous thing just bit me, because they've got the scariest spiders and snakes and everything down there in Australia.
Yep.
So what was that like to have this, really strange reaction in your body?
I definitely felt quite depressed through, over time. So while I was, seeking answers and trying to figure it out always, that didn't stop. There was also, I felt stopped. I couldn't do the yoga that I used to do. I couldn't run. I was trying to adapt to a new country, which of course, then I didn't have my acupuncturist or my yoga classes or my people. Like, I didn't have that community. So it was really challenging during challenging times, and we're in a challenging time right now too. Learning just does something to your brain, that's encouraging in the hard situation. So
that helped a lot, hey? That because you were in learning mode, that helped you deal with some of the emotional challenges you were going through. Depression, anxiety, I imagine, stress.
And then that ended up wearing down on my marriage. So I was married to an Australian, so we were married about 9 years. And right towards the end of me finishing school, we split up. And there was, and that's the thing in relationships as well. So when you're going through something physical like I was, and I was definitely depressed. I was definitely not feeling like my strongest, best self, but that can put a lot of stress on a relationship.
Anytime there's stress, like in the times we're living in now with COVID, relationships are under massive attack from that stress, from that uncertainty too. And for people who've lost jobs, lost incomes, the whole financial layer on top of that now. And that's definitely going to put a weight on kind of the capacity of a relationship. So you were going through all this stuff, physical, emotional, relationship. After the relationship ended, and you're landing again and figuring out who you are and what to do, how'd you kind of rise up? How'd you bring yourself back to, health and happiness?
It's nice to talk about this, by the way. It's been a little while.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for revealing. It's really helpful.
Yeah, it was good to reflect back and just to be where you don't just end up here. You got here by doing all these things, right?
We're all on a journey.
We are, and we're at different parts of it, and it changes.
Yeah.
And that's why I like reflecting back, because it's like, gosh, things are so different now. But at that point, it was difficult ending the marriage, and I started my career, and fortunately within the next couple years, I just loved what I was doing. So this is the thing though. So I guess like during those years, the back pain became kind of manageable.
Mm-hmm.
In about 2010, someone said, gluten, have you thought about cutting gluten out of your diet?
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you know what? I've done everything else and I haven't cut out gluten. I'll give it a go.
Next piece of the puzzle, right?
It was a piece of the puzzle. Within 3 months, my back pain was gone.
Wow. So another huge, another big milestone on your healing journey to figure out that gluten was that, that real culprit.
Yeah, and I guess like the biggest lesson that I've learned in all this that I love, I feel like I need to share it, is that, you know, we're not going to go when we have something wrong. We're firstly so vulnerable. So it is so hard to go out and throw your money and take people's advice and sort of, and then have things fail. And that happens so often, right?
Yes.
I tried things I trusted, and then that wasn't the answer. But I kept on going. And slowly over time, over however many years, so it was 7 years, between when I first got the back pain to when I felt like I'd really sort of alleviated it.
Mm.
There were so many different parts that I'd learned, and it was really the integration of all those different things. So the gluten reduced inflammation that was doing something to the nerves. And of course, there's so much nerve innervation around the whole digestive system.
Yes. Yeah. Now we know
Yeah.
much more about those nerve systems, and we've got
Yeah.
we realize that our guts are really smart. We've got 100 billion neurons in our brain, another 40 million in the heart, and then another 10 million just in the gut system. So you got a little brain down there that does amazing
Yeah.
things, and it's constantly monitoring. Real world education on gut and nerves and all the interconnections. And you were like your own guinea pig. You were a living experiment.
I think that most of the health practitioners I know have some level of, they're interested in it to know about for themselves as well, or for their families, or there's a personal investment in it, because we all want to feel better and live as long as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't want to be in pain. We don't want to be not sleeping. We don't want to fall apart.
It's human to want our health and happiness. We all want that, right? And especially the older we get, and the more we feel kind of, our vulnerable bodies, the more interested we get in solutions for health and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people are really searching for the non-medicine solutions. They don't want to get hooked on the antidepressants, the anti-anxieties, and the psychotropic drugs, and all of the health problems that you can invite into your life by getting into the medication and drug cycle. And now we know that a lot of dementias are very, very correlated to psychotropics, to antidepressants, anti-anxieties, all those things. They work well for a while, but you can pay in the long run, and pay dearly.
Yeah.
And so, I think so many of us are really vitally interested in healthy solutions, and are willing to go through, longer healing cycles. Like, you took 7 years, but what you got out of that is a healthy body, not just a fixed pain, but a way of living, and a way of feeling healthy and happy, that will give you a longer, healthier life, and hopefully ward off, or at least slow down some of those aging concerns we all have.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I pinch myself, because I those were my dreams during those years, were to get better.
Yeah.
And I just go, that's better now. Like that, like sometimes I take a moment and just, so it is, when we get through hard things, we're different on the other side. And I guess I've always wanted to be able to bring a little bit of that knowledge into the hard time. It's so hard though, right? You're like, but this is so hard and uncomfortable. It's like when you have anxiety, or when you, any of those difficult emotions, you just want them to go away. You want to numb, you want to forget about it and watch TV or shop.
That's why the pill is so attractive, right? Pop the pill, the pain goes away, easy, done deal. But really, I think what we're all after is that transformation, is coming out a different, better person on the other side. It's so much more valuable than the instant effect of the pill. Somebody I always think back to and admire very much is Viktor Frankl, concentration camp prisoner during Nazi Germany. And he figured out pretty quickly that he needed to take that concentration camp experience as a transformational opportunity, as an opportunity to become more caring, as an opportunity to have a more more clear vision in his life of what he wanted to do. And he would picture, during part of his daily routine was to picture what he was going to do after he got out of the concentration camp. And then he would go around and he would give half of his meager portions to other, and his physical health was much better, even though he was eating half, because of this transformational focus that he took on, and he really took it on. So, I really admire people like you who, who kind of face the difficulty head on, jump in, and even if it's a long, tough road, like a 7-year road, you follow it to the end, and you really reap tremendous benefits that you can still, today you can pause and think, oh yeah, I'm in a much better place. And your back, is your back good now?
Yeah, my back is good now. I still manage it with Pilates. So Pilates and
keep strong.
And just not pushing myself too much. And that's sort of, and that was, something in my mindset. So I wasn't able to sit with my feelings, right? And so, if we get to the root cause of that back problem, I'm starting to understand now through therapy and through meditation practice and through other things that happened in my life, like burnout from that great job. I had such a tendency to dissociate. And through all those years, I never really learned to be with uncomfortable emotions. So I was always trying to kind of get away from it. And I had that kind of little propeller of busyness that was, keeping me from really feeling. And I really believe that, the body speaks, and the body's going to be also activated by some of the environmental toxins that we deal with, food being one of them. But stress management and resilience underneath that. So your story about Victor in the Nazi, concentration camp, he's able to be resilient in a really difficult circumstance. I know for myself to be resilient, I have to take a lot more recovery time than a lot of other people. Like I need down days. I need to recover my nervous system. And that's something I've learned through meditation practice. And that's that emotional, psychological part of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's fantastic that you've taken all your learning and you've customized lifestyle practice for yourself, that you become very self-aware, and you've been able, with that awareness, I think, pick and choose what really works for you. And one of those key pieces you've discovered is you need lots of recovery time, more than other people. And so what? So what if we're different? Everyone's worried about this, but so what? So we are all massively different. We are all, incredibly unique people, and we are not only once in a lifetime, but once in a history, unique events. And there will never be another Sita. There will never be another Tom. And everyone should get special treatment. Everybody should completely customize their lives. And we all need, I think, to stop following what's popular. Interestingly, I think popularity has become a much more powerful force since social media has come on the rise, especially in our young people. I mean, they're really, following the trends like a herd. And I worry about that. That's where we get into trouble. That's where our psychology starts to go off track, when we think, okay, I'm not here. I should be over there. I should be out of my center, out of connection with myself. And like that person on a magazine cover or in a TV show or on a Instagram channel. And so, I just love your message of really understanding who you are and shaping your life unapologetically to what you need.
Yeah, that's such a good message, isn't it? And it's so important for young and old people to hear that, because I think that we get these automatic programs running, and if we don't sort of investigate them, they'll keep running.
Yeah.
And I think that there's no cookie cutter answer. It's important to bring the responsibility back to yourself, to choose what feels right, and to check in and to look at why we're doing something. Are we doing it because we don't feel good enough? And so we want to be, like, everybody wants to be skinnier and everybody wants to have the body, but it's so much more important to feel good. And if we focus on feeling good, then your body's just going to harmonize around that. It doesn't have to be, like, I think beauty's the result of doing all that hard work.
If you're healthy from within, then you get beauty from within, and your skin gets healthy, and you get, rosy
Yes.
colors, and you get to,
Yeah.
an ideal weight, and all sorts of great things happen when that inner harmony is the goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you help people find what works for their inner harmony nutritionally?
Education.
Mm.
So, and this is, I remember actually when I started my own practice and I thought I'm going to, do this online and make some educational videos. And a few people said to me, oh, people just want answers. They don't really want to learn. And so, you always, when you've got a new sort of idea, you always get those skeptics.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I chose not to listen. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give it a try. I just feel like I want to talk. I wanted to share what I knew. And I wanted to find the right people. And I did. I found all these nerdy people who want to know the details and want to be able to talk to their doctor, want to be able to talk to their health professionals, and just have a more confidence in their understanding of how their own body works, rather than just, being told to quit dairy. I'm sort of explaining, well, here's why. It's because this is having an impact on your gut, and then that microbiome has this super communication highway through the vagus nerve to your brain, and so I do educational stuff now, and it feels good for me to just throw all that stuff at people, and then they get to keep it.
You're using education now as your main tool, and to help people understand the deeper why behind different things like dairy, and also lifestyle and connection. And so you're really helping advise people and coach people through building a life, not just picking the right pills, vitamins and supplements off the shelf.
I've got a 4-year who, of course, wants all the sweet things, and
right.
And it's hard raising a 4-year-old. So sometimes you just want them to be happy. But we make ice cream that she calls her ice cream, with frozen bananas, and we either use pure whipping cream or coconut cream. Fantastic. And a little bit of vanilla stevia to sweeten it. She loves, and vanilla extract. So she loves smelling the vanilla before we pour it in. And I've got a Vitamix, and so we blend that up. We could add strawberries to it. Typically
seen as a junk food into something healthy, and an experience too of making it and connecting with the food.
And it's easy still, because that's important for me. I don't want to, do all these things that I feel like some parents feel like they need to do to keep their kids healthy. It has to be easy, and it has to be, because there's so many other hard things to deal with. Fantastic. You just want to press a button and zoom. And just finding the substitute. So it's finding the thing that you love, and then finding a way to do it that still feels safe and healthy and good for your body, but so you're not missing out. So nourishment, not punishment, is the motto.
That's a great motto. Love that. Nourishment, not punishment.
Since cutting out gluten, I had to be careful about all the hyper-processed flours that are gluten-free. And with the gluten-free label, they appear healthy. But a lot of them, like anything with the word starch, just converts very easily to sugar. So a lot of gluten-free breads are made with rice starch or potato starch, which is really...
Gluten-free is not an all safe label.
Totally not all safe.
Okay.
And probably one of the worst. A lot of them are heavily processed. And so it's finding a way then to go, okay, well, if I'm not having those gluten-free flours, what else is there? And the paleo diet world that came up as a trend. And I'd never say that I'm on a paleo diet, but I love paleo baking. You can bake a paleo style cake using almond meal, coconut flour, tapioca flour, which is a starch, but you just use a smaller amount, and basically make grain-free goodies. You can also add pureed pumpkin, or you can always add vegetables or sweet potato grated to make sweet potato brownies. I've got a recipe for that on my website.
Nice.
I guess like the exciting part is when you cut something out and you try and be creative with it, there's all these new things that open up. If you're doing a Google search for recipes and you look for paleo recipes, you're going to have a lot better ingredient profile than if you look for gluten-free recipes.
Okay. You're going to get less processed stuff in the paleo recipes.
Absolutely. And that's the only diet that really, like, it was the first diet that came out that was just whole food based. It was actually anti-processed foods.
Where's your website? Where can people go for more information about what you offer, what you do?
I've got all my recipes on mindbodyiq.com.
Mindbodyiq.com, okay.
Yeah. And there should be links to, there's a video page as well. So for Eat and Love, we did about 26 recipes over those 2 or 3 days that we filmed. And so those are on video. And that show was a focus on food for hormones.
Do you have any online courses available now?
I have a 10-day program that people can just sign up for, and I customize the start date. So that one is called the Mindful Detox, the 30-day program too. So, and that one I haven't, so the best thing for people with that program is to sign up for my newsletter, and I'll announce when that one starts. So I guide that one. There's 5 different learning modules in it. And then over 30 days, I deliver the learning modules they're recorded videos, but then we've got an online group where we chat about what I've talked about, and then sort of get a chance to just to sort of workshop it all.
So that's super that you've got an online group as well, so people get feedback. It's not just a passive information transfer. It's, you're going to give them some feedback. There's going to be some other people going through that, that journey together, and help each other learn and support each other. And so that's really great, I think.
Yeah. It's really fun when we do that, because people often share things with each other, or people who've done the reset in the past join in to the next one and then share things with the new people. And so it's become, and we get people we've had lots of different, from New Zealand and Australia and Canada and the US. So we get different participants with, different grocery stores. And all of a sudden we start to, realize that the things that are every day to us are different for someone else in a different part of the world. It's really cool.
Nice to get that global network going, especially in these times where I think a lot of us are feeling pretty isolated and disconnected from our normal lives. These kind of collaborations that we can do online are fantastic, and they can really juice us back up socially and emotionally, and get us reconnected and moving forward again out of that sort of paralysis that uncertainty and stress can create.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do sort of need each other more than ever through this time. And we're really, that's a silver lining, right? Is that we are able to connect like this still. Talking to you like this, it feels like we're just talking, like we've met before. It's like, okay, that's still the same person. It's just a slightly, got to figure out the technical parts, but.
That's right. Yeah, life goes on though, right? There's a pandemic, but we're still living. I think back to, my parents who did live through the war, and especially their grandparents, the world wars, they still lived. They still had life. They still had families while this world war was going on around them. And so I can take a bit of comfort. If my parents got through that intense of a period of uncertainty and violence, and I get to stay home with my family and chill on the couch in our particular generation's challenge, and it's not so bad. It's isolating, but it's survivable. And if we can make the effort to reach out and connect, and like today with you, it's great. This helps me too. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your coming on to the show and showing us your wisdom and being able to offer tools for people to move forward and to connect with that kind of wider community of looking for health and happiness.
Yeah, thanks for bringing this conversation to light. I think it's important for people to understand that their mental health is affected by how they eat, and we do have access to different tools, but there might be a bit of discomfort in trying to learn to use them. And we're each going to have a different looking toolbox, right?
Yes. Very.
And when something's not working, we have to keep asking more questions. And the pandemic's kind of put me in that box, right? I
Mm.
was like, I'm doing all the things, but I'm still so, and so I've just been reading different books, reading more about sleep, reading more about different options, right? Just taking it to a different level, really. And that's the silver lining. It's like, okay, now I know new stuff.
Yeah, it's such a tremendous coping tool to take adversity as an opportunity to grow, to transform, and to take
Yeah.
that energy and difficulty and scariness creates. You know, there's an energy there. If you can grab that and then channel it into learning something new and becoming a better person, and deepening your awareness. For me, it's all about deepening that connection with that part of me that's, that I get in touch with meditation, that's eternal, that's always wise, that's always happy, that doesn't, flutter around with the ups and downs of the world. There's this deep well of always good and loving and healthy that's there. My only problem is sometimes I lose connection with it.
Yeah.
And so I'm really interested in tools that get me back to connecting, because as soon as I'm connected, as soon as I plug into that deeper source, everything's fine. I can handle anything. And I can easily take, the fright of a pandemic and put it into something productive. But it's not always easy, especially the bigger the fright, the bigger the uncertainty, the bigger the scare, the easier it is to lose the connection with deeper self, and the tougher it is to find a way to plug back in. When we think of the word spirit, eternal, or religion, or God, all these things, we're all searching for ways to get back to it. Meditation is certainly a great tool, but almost anything that you use with intention, even eating, can become a way to plug back in.
Yeah, it really can, and expansive too. And it's
Mm.
and I think it can overwhelm people to think of all the different things, once you start in this world.
Mm.
And it's just focusing and trying to, do your one thing at a time, do it in a phase,
Mm.
change, reassess, do your next phase, and get
Yeah.
support too, right?
Yes.
We all need support on this journey. No matter how much we know, it's good to be reminded. And so that wellness community, whether it's through other professionals or through other people on a similar journey, is so important. Hey,
Absolutely. Wonderful message to end on. Thank you so much, Sita. I really appreciate it.
it's been it's been a great chat, and really enjoyed sort of the direction that we went in. So
Okay, me too.
yeah.